Breaking news. As me and una dey talk for here so, Ghanaian President Doko express his own feelings to the France president, of which he was not pleased with it. I have to be honest. Sometimes your impression matters a lot when somebody is dealing with you. I don't want to waste your time. I want you to see this video before I will comment. But before that, the Ghanaian president was very, very, very straight, and he has a point in all he wears. He was honest and he expressed my own personal feelings, because for waiting we they go through for Italy, we better move with our country if they can give us a good life.
We can no longer continue to make policy for ourselves, in our country, in our region, in our continent, on the basis of whatever support the Western world or France or the European Union can give us. It will not work. It has not worked, and it will not work. Our responsibility is to charter a path which is about how we can develop our nations ourselves. It is not right for a country like Ghana, 60 years after independence, to still have its health and education budgets being financed on the basis of the generosity and charity of European taxpayers. By now, we should be able to finance our basic needs ourselves.
I just love what the Ghanaian president is doing. I'm proud of Ghanaian President Akufo. Just watch the wonderful speech this man made. If you look at the French president, he was kind of uncomfortable with the speech. Like, just look at the body language, you understand what I mean.
Our perspective has not to be what the French taxpayer decides to do with whatever surpluses that they have in France. They're welcome. But this continent, and with all that has happened, is still today the repository of at least 30% of the most important minerals of the world. It's a continent of vast, arable and fertile lands. It has the youngest population of any of the continents in the world. So it has the energy and the dynamism. We have seen it. These young men who are showing so much resilience and ingenuity in crossing the Sahara, and finding ways to go across with rickety boats across the Mediterranean to really, those energies, we want to have those energies working inside our countries. And we're going to have those energies working in our countries if we begin to build systems that tell the young people of our country that their hopes, their opportunity are right here with us. Migration and the movement of people is being presented in a manner which suggests that somehow it's a new phenomenon. There's nothing new about it. It's as old as man, the movement of people. And it has always been linked to the same thing: the failure of where you are to provide you with an opportunity, so you move somewhere else. Those of you who are familiar with 19th century European history would know that the biggest wave of immigration in 19th century Europe, the latter part of it, came from Ireland and from Italy. Waves upon waves, generations of Italians and the Irish people left their countries to seek the American paradise, largely because Ireland was not working, Italy was not working. Today, you don't hear it. Italian young people are in Italy. Irish young people are in Ireland. We want young Africans to stay in Africa. And how are they? And it means that we have to get away from this mindset of dependence. This mindset about what can France do for us. France will do whatever it needs to do for its own sake. And when those coincide with ours, tant mieux, as the French people say. But our main responsibility as leaders, as citizens, is what we need to do to grow our own countries. Our concern should be with what do we need to do in this 21st century to move Africa away from being cap in hand and begging for aid, for charity, for handouts. The African continent, when you look at its resources, should be giving monies to other places. We have huge wealth on this continent. And I say so with the greatest of respect to the French president. I think that the cooperation of France is something that I am, as you know, a strong friend of France. I am Francophile. So I don't have any difficulty with that. But I'm talking about our own propulsion, what we need to do to get our countries to work so that we can create the conditions that would allow our young people to forego this hazardous effort to get to Europe. They're not going there because they want to. They're going there because they don't believe they have any opportunities in our countries. So that should be our focus. And I believe that with that if we change that mindset of dependence, that mindset which is contingent on aid and charity, we would see that in the decades ahead of us, the full flowering of the African peoples would take place. And that new African personality that was talked about at the time of our independence will become real and imminent in our times. That's what I'm saying. I hope that I'm not upsetting the questioner or even some of my friends who are here. But these are my strongly held beliefs. And that is the reason why I've adopted as the slogan of my presidency, of my period of the Supreme Office of Ghana, that we want to build a Ghana beyond aid. A Ghana which is independent, which is self-sufficient, that is capable of standing on its own feet and building its own life. We can do it.
I mean, for how long are these people going to control the resources of Africa? Do you know what Africa have? Africa continues to power thousands of power plants in the West. Uranium, gold, fuel, crude oil, everything that is being transported to the West. And people see there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, just take a look now. And you know, Niger is the second poorest country in the whole world. Niger Republic, the second poorest country in the whole world. These people are poor, but they have what it takes to make them rich, to make them feed well. They have the mineral resources. All this thing is being exploited by France, by Western leaders. Africa needs to wake up. We need to defend ourselves. We need to love ourselves. We need to be proud of what we have. We need to appreciate what God has given us and use it well for our own good. We have what it takes to compete for a third countries in the world.
Haven't you seen the video? You see the impression on the man's face. You know when somebody is talking to you and the thing is going into your, like from your flesh directly into your bone. It go pass and go come out for the other side. That is what I saw. The man was not pleased with the speech the Ghanaian president was giving. But however, I want to really say a big thank you to the Ghanaian president, because this is one of the reasons why you should put somebody on the post that is not just used to speaking grammar, but to the reality. After all these years, we have been like given this chance to have a democracy. What has democracy given us as an individual? Do you know the reason why a lot of African people are dying on the Mediterranean Sea every day? Like what happened yesterday? According to the Italian news, about 30-something people were missing, where they will be able to find just 2. I'm even tired of bringing bad news to my people. That's why sometimes when I say I don't want to even talk about it, I switch off my television because it's not possible. But I also understand that because of the suffer we have in Africa, because of the Africa mentality, some people enjoy spreading bad news because that is what the Africa people want to hear. But I believe this is not a bad news at all. It's a wake up, because what is happening in Africa is not just a coincidence. But do not forget that sometimes you need to be very careful so you don't lose what you were planning to gain and also lose your own peace of mind. African leaders must bear in mind that this is the right time for them to ask for their freedom, but they must do it with a caution. They must do it with a lot of wisdom, because If they don't do it like that, I said something yesterday. I said there are some people that have wedge, but it's not everybody that have wedge. So some people will understand what I mean by wedge, why some will not understand. Because even if you put eye, like a house, some people, they go still blind for the present.